They don't think like you. Not because they were born different, but because somewhere along the way they decided to think differently. They chose to sculpt their mind like a weapon. They trained it to see opportunity where others see risk, to hear silence where others hear doubt, to move forward when the rest freeze. The billionaire's mind isn't just smart, it's engineered. Not by accident, not by chance. It's the product of daily war, daily choices, daily rewiring. While the average person waits for permission, the billionaire writes their own rules, carves their own paths, and plants flags in places no one dared go. You weren't born to remain average. And if you can learn to train your mind the way the greats did, Carnegie, Edison, Oprah, Jobs, then the world will bend for you too. But understand this. The battlefield is not out there. It's in here. Inside your head. Every thought is a soldier. Every belief a blueprint. And the world you build externally is simply a reflection of the architecture you've built internally. So let's begin. Not with technique, not with tactics, but with truth. And the truth is this. You are not your thoughts. You are the commander of them. When Napoleon Hill interviewed the richest minds of his time, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, he didn't ask them for their secrets. He studied their thinking. And what he discovered was terrifyingly simple. They had trained their minds to obey. Not just to dream, but to believe in the dream with such fire, such unshakable clarity, that the universe had no choice but to comply. Think of Henry Ford. He was told again and again that an 8-cylinder engine in one block was impossible. His engineers came back month after month, empty-handed. But Ford, he just said, build it anyway. That wasn't stubbornness. That was trained belief, a mental command forged from years of disciplined thinking. And this is where your training begins. Not in chasing success, but in choosing thought. Ask yourself, how often do you question the voice in your head? How often do you interrupt your own limitations? Or do you just accept them as fact like some unchangeable law? Let me be clear. There are no mental laws, only mental habits. And the billionaire rewrites them every single day. Let's talk clarity. A billionaire mind doesn't just hope for success. It defines it, targets it, obsesses over it. It doesn't dabble. It doesn't get distracted. It burns every bridge to indecision and walks forward with a flame in its chest. Clarity is the great divider between those who wander and those who conquer. When Walt Disney was told his idea of a theme park was absurd, he didn't flinch. He didn't water it down. He doubled down. Because the image in his mind was clearer than the noise outside of it. That's what clarity does. It silences the static. It sharpens focus like a blade. It makes your vision so vivid, so alive, that it begins to feel inevitable. You want to train your mind like a billionaire? Start by defining what you want, down to the detail. Write it. Speak it. Obsess over it. Not just once. Every single day. Because what you focus on expands, and what you avoid controls you. Now let's talk belief. Not the passive kind. Not the kind that says, maybe if things go well. I'm talking about radical, unreasonable, unbreakable belief. The kind that makes others uncomfortable. The kind that bends reality around your will. Do you think Elon Musk builds rockets on realism? Do you think Oprah broke through generational trauma by playing it safe? No. They believed before the evidence arrived. They believed until the evidence had no choice but to show up. This is not delusion. This is mental leadership. It's understanding that your external world is a mirror, and it always reflects back what you hold in your internal world long enough, deep enough, loud enough. If your belief is weak, your results will be too. But if your belief is steel, if your belief won't break, then the universe begins to move in strange, miraculous ways. It's not magic. It's focus. It's energy. It's spiritual gravity. And yet, belief without discipline is a fantasy. So we move to discipline. And here's the truth. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is devotion. A billionaire's discipline isn't about suffering. It's about alignment. It's saying, this version of me is done. This new version, I show up for it, whether I feel like it or not. Discipline is brushing off failure like dust. It's showing up after 3 hours of sleep. It's saying no to instant pleasure because you're too focused on eternal power. You think Jeff Bezos felt inspired every day building Amazon in a garage? You think Steve Jobs didn't want to quit when the world rejected him? They didn't move because they felt like it. They moved because they decided who they were. This is what most people don't understand. You don't need more motivation. You need more identity alignment. You need to train your mind to ask, what would the highest version of me do right now? Then do that, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And now vision. Vision is not about where you are. It's about where you insist on going. A billionaire doesn't see the world as it is. They see the world as it could be. And then, they live like it already is. This is why they win. Not because they got lucky, but because they built the future in their mind first, then showed up in the present like it already existed. If you want to train your mind like a billionaire, you must become a visionary, a builder, a mental architect of the impossible. Close your eyes and see it. Speak it. Write it until your fingers bleed. Remind yourself so often that forgetting becomes impossible. When others doubt, you don't explain. You continue. Because your vision isn't theirs to understand. It's yours to fulfill. But vision alone is not enough. Because every vision will face resistance. You will be tested, mocked, misunderstood. Which is why you must forge resilience like iron. When Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times creating the light bulb, he didn't say, maybe this isn't for me. He said, I now know 1,000 ways that don't work. And he kept going. That's what resilience looks like. It's not just bouncing back. It's coming back stronger, more certain, more committed, more dangerous to mediocrity. Every setback is a signal. Every failure a forge. And every scar on your mind is evidence that you're becoming unbreakable. Because a trained mind doesn't fear failure. It feeds on it. While the world retreats at the first sign of discomfort, the billionaire leans in, smiles at the storm, welcomes the pain, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they know what's on the other side of it. Growth. And growth is never comfortable. Growth is war. War against your comfort zone. War against distraction, against comparison, against every excuse you've rehearsed since childhood. A mind trained for wealth and greatness doesn't wait for the perfect day. It creates the conditions. It commands the focus. And it executes no matter the emotion. You want resilience? Then stop treating your emotions like gods and start treating them like signals. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's a compass. It points you to the part of you that needs to evolve. And evolution is never polite. It's ruthless. It's sharp. It cuts away the version of you that no longer serves the life you say you want. Then comes adaptability. Because what good is a vision if you can't pivot? The billionaire mind is not rigid. It is fluid. Like water, strong enough to wear down mountains, yet soft enough to flow through cracks. When the market shifts, when plans collapse, when the world throws chaos at their doorstep, they don't break. They bend, without losing their center. You want to survive the storm? Then become the storm. Don't grip so tightly to your old ways that you miss new paths. Don't worship strategies. Worship results. And remember, flexibility is not weakness. It's the weapon of those who are too smart to drown in a system that stopped working. The world will always change. The economy, the tools, the rules. But the core remains. Think with clarity. Move with purpose. And adapt with fire in your eyes. And what fuels all of this is purpose. Let's get something straight. Money is a byproduct. It is not the purpose. Status fades. Applause dies. Likes disappear. But purpose is eternal. Purpose is the reason you get up when it's dark and quiet. Purpose is the voice that says, "Not yet," when you're ready to quit. Purpose is what separates the rich from the truly wealthy. Because wealth without purpose is poverty in disguise. Ask Carnegie why he built libraries across the world. Ask Steve Jobs why he cared so much about beauty and design. Ask Muhammad Ali why he danced in the ring when his body begged him to stop. They were not moved by money. They were moved by meaning. And when your mind is trained on purpose, no setback can own you. You don't need to be motivated. You don't need to be told. You know why you're here. So ask yourself, what pain are you willing to endure for the life you say you want? What sacrifice are you willing to make for the legacy you're building? That's the price of purpose. And billionaires pay it daily. Now listen carefully. Gratitude is not weakness. It is the most strategic mindset you can adopt. Because the mind that is grateful is the mind that is open. And the open mind is the mind that grows. Most people think gratitude is passive. It's not. Gratitude is power. It tunes your brain to see abundance, to notice opportunity, to feel energized by the process, not just the reward. You think Carnegie built his empire without gratitude? He gave away over 90% of his wealth before he died. Not out of guilt, but out of vision, because he understood that the more you give, the more you become. Gratitude trains your mind to receive more, because it proves you're already aligned with what you have. Try this. Every morning, before the world tries to hijack your thoughts, declare 3 things you're grateful for. Then ask, what am I becoming today? That shift, that small shift, turns a mind of anxiety into a mind of abundance. And billionaires don't think from lack. They think from plenty. Next comes learning. And not just information. Transformation. The average person collects facts. The billionaire collects insights. They don't read just to consume. They read to evolve. They don't learn to impress. They learn to implement. Understand this. Your income will never exceed your personal development. You cannot earn more until you become more. And becoming more starts with one question. Who do I have to be to deserve the life I want? Not, what should I do? But, who must I become? And when that identity is clear, learning becomes fuel. Every book, every mentor, every experience. It's filtered through the lens of the future you. Warren Buffett reads for hours every day. Not to escape, but to sharpen. Because a dull mind cannot cut through complexity. And the world belongs to those who can see patterns faster than the rest. Train your mind to be hungry. Train it to be curious not just about success but about yourself. Study your habits. Study your thoughts. Become a student of your own psychology. Because the deeper you understand yourself, the easier it is to dominate the world around you. And finally, action. Because everything is theory until you move. All the vision, the purpose, the belief, the clarity. It means nothing without execution. Billionaires don't wait. They initiate. They make decisions fast and course-correct in motion. They understand that speed beats perfection. And progress is the oxygen of success. Don't tell me what you plan to do. Show me your calendar. Show me your habits. Because your actions are a report card of your belief system. Train your mind to execute like a machine. Remove friction. Eliminate distractions. Create systems. And hold yourself to standards that scare you. Action is not something you do when you feel ready. Action is what makes you ready. And when you take it over and over, when your body obeys your trained mind, you become unshakable. That's when the shift happens. When action becomes identity. Not something you force, but something you are. This is what most people miss. They try to feel motivated before they move. But the billionaire? They move and then the motivation catches up. Because movement builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. And confidence is what separates the watchers from the winners. Your mind must be trained to lean in, not lean back. To see resistance not as a stop sign, but as proof you're heading in the right direction. Every time you do what's hard, every time you move forward when it's easier to stay still, you rewrite your identity. You rewire your brain. You are no longer a person who thinks about success. You are someone who demands it from yourself. This is where the transformation becomes permanent. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You stop waiting for things to get easier. You stop chasing comfort like it's your birthright. And you realize, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of training your mind to go further than your feelings want to take you. Think of Thomas Edison again. 10,000 failures. 10,000 ways it didn't work. And he kept going. Why? Because his mind was already trained to see every failure as feedback. He didn't internalize the defeat. He studied it, adapted, attacked again. The average person gives up at the first no. The billionaire expects rejection. They plan for adversity. Not with fear, but with strategy. That's what separates those who try from those who do, from those who win. Because a mind that is trained in adversity becomes immune to external judgment. And that's the final layer. Emotional self-mastery. You cannot train your mind for wealth if your emotions control your decisions. You cannot walk into your vision when you're ruled by fear, doubt, anger, or insecurity. The billionaire doesn't suppress their emotions. They use them. They learn the art of emotional transmutation, turning anxiety into focus, anger into clarity, fear into movement. This isn't fantasy. It's neuroscience. Because when your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain, is in command, you become conscious of your reactions. You stop reacting and start responding. With precision, with purpose, with power. And that power becomes unstoppable when it's grounded in stillness. Not silence. Stillness. Stillness is when your mind is so clear, so trained, so focused, that no external chaos can break your inner code. You move with calm. You decide with conviction. And you trust yourself completely, because you've earned it. Not through theory, but through action, clarity, and daily self-confrontation. Let me speak to your future for a second. The version of you that already has the wealth, the discipline, the legacy. They're not a fantasy. They're a reflection. A version of you already waiting on the other side of your fear, your excuses, your distractions. And the only thing standing between you and that version is how you train your mind today. Not tomorrow. Not next year. No. Because the future is being written in this moment. In your next decision. In what you choose to tolerate. In what you choose to eliminate. This is not a game. This is not a phase. This is the work that rewrites your destiny. And I need you to understand something. You're already equipped. You already have the tools. Not because of your background, your degrees, your money, but because you are a human being with the most powerful force on earth. A thinking mind. You can imagine something that doesn't exist and build it with your hands. What other species can do that? None. You were not born for mediocrity. You were not built to blend in. You are not here to simply survive. You are here to master yourself so completely that everything around you has no choice but to rise to your standard. You are the architect. You are the builder. You are the breaker of cycles. The maker of new worlds. But it starts in the most sacred place of all, your mind. So train it. Every day. Relentlessly. Obsessively. Feed it truth. Feed it vision. Feed it repetition so ruthless that it drowns out every lie you've ever believed about your potential. Speak power into it. Challenge it. Sharpen it like a blade. And then release it on the world. Because once your mind is trained, once it is disciplined, focused, resilient, aligned, and emotionally bulletproof, there is nothing this world can take from you. Nothing. And everything becomes possible. Everything becomes possible. Because you are no longer asking for success. You are no longer wishing for discipline. You are no longer waiting for motivation to knock on your door. You are becoming the force that moves mountains. The storm that rewrites fate. The voice that silences doubt with action so loud the world must listen. You don't beg for opportunity. You command it. You don't pray for strength. You train for it. You walk into every room. With your mind sharpened like a weapon. Your vision blinding. Your purpose undeniable. And when the noise comes, because it always will, when the critics rise, when the failures sting, when the days blur together and you forget why you started, you return to your training. Because that's what billionaires do. They don't panic, they pivot. They don't drown, they breathe under pressure. They don't run, they build taller when the storms rise higher. They are grounded in something deeper than motivation. They are grounded in identity. And that's the final layer most never reach. They build their habits. They write down their goals. They say the affirmations. But they never become the embodiment of their vision. But you are not like most people. You've come too far. You've seen too much. You've felt the pain of almost giving up. You've walked the road where doubt tried to seduce you back into mediocrity. And you made a decision. You chose to keep going. You chose to rise. That is not weakness. That is not luck. That is becoming. Becoming the kind of person who wakes up and says, I don't care what it takes. I don't care how long it takes. I will master this mind. I will train it like my life depends on it. Because it does. You see, wealth isn't built from money. It's built from clarity. From repetition. From boldness, when fear would be easier. From vision, when reality doesn't yet match. It's built from choosing growth over comfort. Every time. The mind that becomes a billionaire is not obsessed with looking good. It's obsessed with getting better. It's not reactive, it's relentless. It doesn't chase what's easy. It creates what's rare. So what now? Now you decide who you really are. Not who you've been. Not who they said you were. Not the version shaped by failure or fear or scarcity. But the real you. The one buried beneath layers of doubt, waiting for permission to rise. Give yourself that permission now. Forgive yourself for every time you broke your own promise. Forgive the false starts, the wasted time, the quiet quitting. And replace it with an oath to yourself. I will never again betray the vision I was born to fulfill. This is not about money. This is about mastery. Of your thinking. Of your behavior. Of your life. Because once your mind is trained, everything else becomes execution. So breathe in. Not like the person you were 5 minutes ago, but like the warrior you're choosing to become. Let your lungs expand with belief. Let your thoughts surge with clarity. Let your blood remember its fire. And from this moment forward, let everything you do, every step, every decision, every habit, echo the truth you now carry. I have trained my mind like a billionaire. I walk in vision. I act with discipline. I think in wealth. I rise in storms. I become no matter what. Because this world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more hacks or trends or fragile ambition. It needs more people who know who they are and are unshakable in what they've trained themselves to become. You are that person now. Not someday. Not maybe. No. So go. Build the life that proves it.